Hello, and welcome to this edition of Crawdaddy Cosplay. Today we will be building our Space Marine Mark III Heresy Era boot to go with the Shannon thigh piece we built in the last two videos. Something I want to get out of the way right away. The Space Marine boots are exaggerated. Look at the models. They're definitely a lot bigger than they need to be. So don't allow yourself to become disconcerted by how large this boot is. I mean, even this other one I made, yeah, it's about the same size. So this is the Mark VII booty. So let's go ahead and dive right in. This piece, this should be a relatively quick build. It's relatively simple to make. We got part one, which is the sole, and part two, which is the upper. This boot has a few plates on it, but this is nowhere near as complicated as the Primaris Intercessor boot that we made. So let's go ahead and introduce our parts. We got part 1 Alpha 1 and 1 Alpha 2. And frankly, I would have had these be one continuous piece, but I can't fit foam that large into my laser cutter. So 1 Alpha 1, 1 Alpha 2, all cuts, straight cuts. And in fact, all cuts on this entire shoe are straight cuts. The only specialty cuts are a few grooves, which I'll outline when we get to them. Part 1 Bravo here. And we're borrowing some things we've done in some past projects, where instead of 45 in both of these and bringing them together, we're just stacking, so that we're adding that 10 millimeter foam thickness to this to get to our total thickness, so we avoid a 45 and a specialty cut that way. And there's lots of stuff going on here, which we'll cover kind of when we get to the parts for the front, like right here. We got part 2 Echo. It's going to go on there like that to support the front plate going on there. We got 2 Alpha, which is going to come across the back here and go on here like this. And 2 Bravo will overlap that, and 2 Charlie will overlap that and mate with this. So you'll notice that the 2 Alpha outline is good and has registration marks, and there's just a thin trace of the 2 Bravo outline. That's just meant to give you an idea of where it should be lying. You shouldn't need to glue the 2 Bravo down, because it's going to be connected to 2 Alpha here, which is glued down to the sole, and then 2 Charlie, which is going to be secured to 2 Echo, which is then secured to the sole. But if you don't want any sort of air gap or anything that might possibly show up while you're walking, feel free to glue that piece down. I may even do so. But you'll note there's no registration marks there, because just not enough of an overhang in there for it to be worth it. So we'll get started gluing this up. Once the contact cement has been applied and is setting, we'll go over parts 2. So let's go ahead and get on that. let's get into part 2. First part we'll talk about here is part 2 alpha. All cuts are straight cuts as previously discussed. And this part's just going to seal up like that and then get glued down to the frame. This is kind of like our upper, like on our shoe. Like the 2 Bravo. 2 Bravo, I call this the inside plate. It's going to go over this piece like this. All cuts are straight cuts on this piece. We got 2 spots here for details. 2 Bravo 1, well 2 Bravo tack 1. Gonna go on there like that, little bolt heads. Rivets. Got part 2 Charlie. 2 Charlie is the exposed front, or as I call it, the outside plate. All cuts are straight cuts on this piece. However, we do have a 20-degree V groove in the back. The whole purpose of that is to just give us, once this flexes across the front, is to give us this nice line right here. This surface effect from when we flex it. Alright, and then supporting this piece, we got part 2 Delta. All cuts, straight cuts on 2 Delta. 45-degree V grooves in the back here, as shown on the, you'll see on the templates. And this is an interface piece, a spacer basically, between part 2 Delta, sorry, 2 Charlie and 2 Bravo. That'll go on there. And then, as I've kind of already alluded to a couple times, we got part 2 Echo here, which we don't 45 it. It goes, it just wraps right around like that, flat surface to flat surface. And that's going to be our spacer between the shoe bottom, the top of the sole. It's going to lay on top like that, and part 2 Charlie. Alright, so let's go ahead and this glue looks like it's about ready for us to attach up. So you'll notice on here these long registration marks. That's where I intended for the soles to go, or sorry, the seams. So they're side to side instead of front to back. It's a little less noticeable during photos and things like that if you have a hard time filling them in, although you should not have a hard time filling them in. A little RTV silicone and or EVA foam clay, and you should be good to go. Definitely has some tension in it. You're probably going to want to, once the contact cement sets up, lay this flat and hit it with the heat gun to keep it flat. So let's go ahead and start getting our part 2 put together. So for here, look, see this long registration mark on either side here of the front of part 2 Charlie. That tells you where the tip of this part begins. And I have not glued that part yet because I am not very smart. I got that nice detail line right there in the front. I guess it's hard to see on camera. Yeah, a little better there. There we go. So there is our Space Marine Mark III Heresy era boot. Meant to go with our shin piece that we made last time. A little bit better. And for comparison, our Intercessor, the boot is definitely more in line with a normal size boot on the Intercessor, but that was the model I used for the reference. So now let's see if we can go one higher here. Nah, it's gonna slide off. But there we go, and that's our leg. That's the left leg. So the boot itself is symmetrical. So you just duplicate it to make the right side, and then come up with whatever you want to fill this in, and so you can wear it over your regular boot or whatever it is you're gonna decide to wear. But thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you on my Etsy store. Thank you very much.